Tristan, you argued on your podcast Your Undivided Attention that humanity's first contact moment with AI was social media, and that humanity has lost. According to you, our encounter with large language models is humanity's second contact moment with AI. Is history condemned to repeat itself?
Well, first, let me explain. So obviously, AI has pre-existed social media, so I want to make sure I'm not simplifying. There's been AI systems that have existed everywhere in our society since the 1970s and 1980s. So obviously, social media wasn't first contact with AI, but was the AI that drove social media, which was a curation AI. It was just trying to pick, which content, which TikTok video, which Instagram photo to show your nervous system next. That AI was a narrow runaway AI optimizing for a single incentive, misaligned with society. And it was enough, even though it was so simple, it was enough to unravel the shared reality of a lot of democracies around the world and backslide trust and increase polarization and tribalism and cause some pretty massive effects, mental health of youth, et cetera. So the point is that noticing that there is a very simple AI that we already ran away from its creators. Once the misalignment was detected, have we fixed the misalignment with social media? Is it now aligned? Well, we just talked about how we want to realign it with this regulation to change from engagement to care. But we haven't fixed that misalignment. And I think that says that, we always say, well, if we made an AI, surely we would just unplug it if it was ever misaligned with society, or we would fix the misalignment. Well, here we have a test case where we actually rolled it out. It got entangled with core parts of our society and even became part of our daily lives. It's adjacent to and embedded with, the things that we wake up to every day when you open your phone. So now as we think about, large language models in second contact with AI, which we call creation AI rather than curation AI. Curation AI is picking which tweet to show your nervous system. Creation AI is the ability to generate any kind of content, decode language and content at scale. So we think of, I know you had Yuval Harari on the podcast. We wrote an op-ed together in the New York Times where we talked about, this new generative AI has the ability to decode any language. In democracy, conversation is language. The narrative of a society is language. The media is language. Journalism is language. Also, code is language. Law is language. And so, if generative AI can hack language, it can hack the foundations upon which society depends. Whether that's code, find me cybersecurity vulnerabilities in your infrastructure. Whether it's religions, find me a way to tie some events that are happening in the world to an extremist religion and actually sow propaganda directly at that audience. Or whether it's law, hey, GPT-4, find me a loophole in this legal contract, literally help me get away with murder and not have it be against the law of that country, do that at scale. When you can hack language, you can hack the fundamentals of a society. So this is a really key point because we have to be able to predict and anticipate what are the kinds of things people can do with generative AI. And so I think the important point we wanted to raise with this talk we gave called the AI Dilemma is if we weren't so good at noticing first contact, we have to see what did we get wrong to get it right this time before second contact fully takes place. And the key thing is to regulate AI before we entangle it and then become dependent on it in a way that we're not able to change it and realign it before it got too late.
From what I've heard, you believe that governments should step in and regulate AI before we lose control. Is that correct?
Yes, we will need to find a way to coordinate specifically the race dynamic around AI, the arms race to release AI. So in social media, what the race to the bottom of the brainstem was, that arms race for engagement and attention, that's what drove all the climate change of culture harms and externalities with first contact. With the second contact with AI, it's really going to be driven by this arms race to deploy generative AI everywhere as fast as possible, because that's how you're going to outcompete. That's how OpenAI outcompetes DeepMind or Anthropic or whatever. And when you're racing to go that fast to deploy, you're not moving at a pace that you can get alignment, safety, bias, or discrimination right. You're going to get all those things wrong. And so the question is, how do we deploy this? How do we set that race in a way where, again, we move from a perverse incentive to a positive incentive? So that's, I think, the question. I'd love to hear what Audrey thinks about this.
Yeah. So just for the audience benefit, the word alignment that Tristan is using is a very technical term, and it means not a AI that's more powerful, but rather a AI that can respond to the requirements, to the needs of people. That is to say, AI that cares more. right? So we've been talking about how power does not necessarily equal care. And I think one of the fundamental errors that people made in the first contact with AI in terms of social media is that initially many have bought into this narrative that as those narrow AI become more powerful, they will also be more capable for care. For example, if the human moderators cannot deal with the vast amount of hate and toxicity, well, the narrow AI at some point will be able to very accurately provide a careful moderator's role and so on. And we have seen that it was not the case, but it's with the hindsight, right? At that point, many people thought that power and care are the same thing. That's, and in AI jargon, it means many people thought that capability and alignment are the same thing. And I think one of the most important points we're going to make is that these are not the same thing. And given the perverse incentives, it's very likely that they are actually at opposite with each other.
Yes, exactly.
To ensure that the second moment of contact with AI doesn't result in the same negative externalities, having the dialogue we are having today is crucial.
Hi, I'm Tristan Harris, a co-founder of the Center for Humane Technology, and I'll see you on TaiwanPlus.
Hello, I'm Audrey Tang, Taiwan's digital minister. See you on TaiwanPlus.